Good evening everyone, and today we need to talk about something that has quietly become one of the most debated topics in entertainment media over the last 2 years, because whether people admire her, criticize her, or simply remain fascinated by the sheer scale of her celebrity, Jennifer Lopez has once again managed to place herself at the center of a conversation about fame, image control, aging in Hollywood, and the increasingly fragile relationship between celebrities and modern audiences. What makes this especially interesting is that the discussion surrounding Jennifer Lopez today feels completely different from the way people talked about her even 5 or 6 years ago. Because back then she was largely viewed as an untouchable entertainment machine, somebody who had successfully survived multiple generations of pop culture while continuing to dominate music, film, fashion campaigns, live performances, and celebrity headlines all at once. But recently, something shifted, and audiences online began openly questioning whether the Jennifer Lopez brand still connects with people the way it once did. The turning point for many observers appeared during the promotional cycle surrounding her extremely ambitious multimedia project connected to the album This Is Me Now, which was clearly designed as both a personal statement and a massive cinematic reinvention of her public identity. On paper, the idea sounded almost perfectly tailored for modern celebrity culture, because Jennifer Lopez was attempting to combine autobiography, fantasy storytelling, relationship mythology, and self-analysis into one large-scale project that blurred the line between documentary, musical film, and emotional confession. Yet the public response became strangely divided almost immediately, and what could have been interpreted as a bold artistic risk suddenly turned into one of the most intensely dissected celebrity releases of the streaming era. Part of the reason this happened is because audiences today are far more skeptical of celebrity storytelling than they were during the peak years of traditional Hollywood publicity. Jennifer Lopez built her career during a time when stars could carefully curate their image through magazine interviews, television appearances, and highly controlled public narratives. But the internet environment of the 2020s is much harsher and far less forgiving. Modern viewers constantly analyze body language, interview tone, social media behavior, relationship timelines, and even documentary editing choices, searching for contradictions between what celebrities say and how they appear to behave in real life. In Lopez's case, many viewers felt that the project tried extremely hard to convince audiences that they were witnessing vulnerability and emotional authenticity, yet at the same time the scale and theatricality of the production made some people question whether authenticity was even possible inside such an expensive and heavily stylized presentation. One of the most talked about aspects of the entire situation became the involvement of Ben Affleck, whose relationship with Jennifer Lopez has now transformed into something much larger than a celebrity romance. Their reunion initially generated enormous nostalgia online because people remembered the early 2000s media frenzy surrounding Bennifer, and many fans genuinely believed they were watching two celebrities finally correct unfinished history decades later. But over time, internet culture turned their marriage into a constant source of speculation, analysis, memes, and psychological projection. Every public appearance became evidence for somebody's theory. If Affleck looked tired during an event, social media users interpreted it as proof of relationship tension. If Lopez appeared highly polished and energetic while Affleck looked withdrawn, people immediately constructed narratives about personality imbalance, media exhaustion, or emotional incompatibility. What makes this fascinating from an industry perspective is that Jennifer Lopez has always depended heavily on visual perfection and public confidence as central elements of her celebrity identity. Unlike stars who cultivated mystery or emotional unpredictability, Lopez's image for decades revolved around discipline, ambition, glamour, and relentless control over her career. She represented the idea of somebody who never slows down, never appears weak, and never loses command of the spotlight. But the modern internet often rewards the exact opposite. Audiences now gravitate towards celebrities who appear chaotic, emotionally transparent, awkward, or imperfect. That creates a difficult environment for someone like Jennifer Lopez, because the very qualities that once made her an icon can now make her seem distant to younger viewers who expect a different kind of relatability. Another factor that intensified the conversation was the commercial performance surrounding some of her recent projects. Critics and audiences began openly discussing whether Jennifer Lopez was experiencing a genuine decline in cultural influence or whether the internet was simply exaggerating isolated failures into a larger narrative. Some analysts pointed out that even her less successful releases still attracted enormous global attention, which most entertainers could never achieve in the first place. Others argued that Lopez remains trapped between entertainment eras, still operating with the mentality of a traditional superstar while audiences increasingly prefer creators who feel spontaneous and digitally native rather than carefully manufactured. The reaction to her documentary content became especially revealing because viewers split into completely different camps. Supporters argued that Jennifer Lopez was showing rare honesty about insecurity, relationship trauma, and the emotional consequences of living under constant public scrutiny for decades. They viewed the project as a risky attempt to reclaim authorship over her own narrative after years of tabloids defining her personal life. But critics believed the opposite. They argued that the documentary unintentionally exposed how disconnected mega-celebrities can become from ordinary people, particularly when discussing emotional suffering through the lens of extreme wealth, luxury production budgets, and constant self-mythologizing. That tension between vulnerability and spectacle became the core reason the conversation exploded online. At the same time, it would be inaccurate to portray Jennifer Lopez as somebody simply collapsing under criticism, because one reason she has survived for so long in entertainment is her extraordinary resilience. Throughout her career, she has repeatedly faced periods where critics predicted her decline, only for her to reinvent herself again through music, fashion, television, or live performance. People often forget how unusual her career trajectory actually is. Very few entertainers successfully maintain relevance across music charts, romantic comedies, dance culture, beauty branding, talent competitions, streaming projects, and luxury fashion for more than 2 decades. Even many of her harshest critics indirectly prove her relevance by continuing to discuss her constantly. There is also a broader cultural issue hidden inside this conversation, because Jennifer Lopez has become a symbol for how audiences treat aging female celebrities differently from aging male celebrities. Online discussions frequently focus on whether Lopez appears too calculated, too glamorous, or too focused on image, but male entertainers with similarly controlled public personas are often described as professional or disciplined instead. Some commentators believe the backlash against Lopez partly reflects changing expectations surrounding women in entertainment, especially women who refuse to disappear quietly as they grow older. Jennifer Lopez continues competing aggressively in industries that constantly replace women with younger stars, and that persistence alone creates complicated reactions from audiences who simultaneously admire ambition while resenting celebrity excess. Perhaps the most revealing part of this entire story is that Jennifer Lopez herself seems aware of the contradiction. Many recent interviews suggest somebody who understands that public perception has shifted but still believes deeply in the power of spectacle, romance, and emotional storytelling. That may ultimately explain why reactions to her remain so intense. Jennifer Lopez is not attempting to become smaller, quieter, or more understated in order to satisfy internet culture. She continues approaching fame with maximum scale, maximum visibility, and maximum theatricality, even while the cultural environment increasingly punishes those exact instincts. And honestly, that might be why people cannot stop talking about her. In an era where many celebrities try desperately to appear casual and relatable, Jennifer Lopez still behaves like an old-school superstar who believes celebrity should feel larger than life. Some viewers see that as inspiring confidence, others see it as ego, and many seem unable to decide which interpretation is correct. But either way, she continues generating discussion at a level most entertainers never reach, and perhaps that alone says more about her staying power than any chart position or box office statistic ever could. So now the question becomes whether Jennifer Lopez is witnessing the final stage of a long celebrity cycle, or whether this entire period will eventually be remembered as another temporary backlash before yet another reinvention. Because if her career has demonstrated anything over the past 25 years, it is that predicting the permanent downfall of Jennifer Lopez has historically been a very dangerous bet. Thanks for watching, and tell me in the comments whether you think the public has become unfairly harsh toward Jennifer Lopez recently, or whether audiences are simply becoming more honest about celebrity culture than ever before.